Welcome back to Making the Jump podcast, where we chat all things business, entrepreneurship and property. I'm Kafilat.
And I'm Rebecca, and we're here to journey with you as you make the jump into something you absolutely love. Hello, Kafilat.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, Rebecca. How are you?
I am doing very well, thank you. I've had a good day, even though I've been in the rain a little bit. But yeah, it's nice to be seeing you on a podcast.
I know, first one, so here we go.
Yeah, we just decided that we are loving the life of property, business, and we just wanted to create, we just wanted to chat to each other, really. We just love talking.
Essentially. And why not let other potentially millions and millions of people listen in?
Exactly. So what can people expect to hear from us on this podcast?
So, the goal of the podcast, because we're so both early on in our property journey, I thought, I guess our USP is that we're not like super experienced and we've got years of experience behind us, uber successful. So we're sort of like working our way up there, but I think it'll be also good to have conversations about how we're finding it in the property industry, and also listening to people that are super successful, they've been doing this years and years, and hear their stories and learn from it as well as our listeners.
Yeah, 100%. So we're going to be chatting all things property, all things business. We want to hear from people from other industries, and just holding our hands up. We are pro the 9-to-5 exodus. We are pro unshackling yourself from the table, the desk, unless that's where you want to be and that is your passion, and following your other passions and making a living and a lifestyle using your other passions and things that excite you. So that's why we chose the name Making the Jump.
Exactly.
So it's not just about taking the jump, it's about making it to the other side.
100%. Because taking it is one thing, making it is another.
Yeah, 100%. So first question for you, just so people can get to know us a little bit. Where in the country are you based?
So I am South Coast. So you don't get more southern than where I'm at. So I'm in the county of Hampshire. So specifically between Portsmouth and Southampton. So I tend to say Portsmouth, so because that's a little bit closer. So I'll say Portsmouth area.
Okay.
By the seaside, chill vibes. It's quite nice and quiet.
Living the dream. Do they have an accent down there?
You know what? I personally don't notice it, but then some people say I sound a little bit London, but I haven't lived in London since I was like maybe 10, so I don't know. I really don't. But northern people definitely do.
Yeah, I think
a little bit.
I've got a friend from Southampton and I've got you from Portsmouth, and I'm just starting to hear the twang, I think. It's very subtle. Very subtle. I've been told I'm good at accents and impersonations, so maybe one episode I'll give it a
go. We need to put that to the test.
Yeah, absolutely. So if before we get on to me, you could be anywhere right now, wasn't Southampton, where would you like to be?
Probably back in my motherland.
Oh,
which is Nigeria. So I just love the weather there. I love the culture. If you can have an easy life as long as you got your money with you. You can have a cook, you can have a cleaner, you can have a housekeeper, you can have a driver. Essentially, you could be treated like a queen, but everything has a cost to it. But it's not as expensive as you would think as if you was in the UK. So yeah, probably Nigeria.
When can I go?
You're more than welcome. I think you did a test recently, not that long ago, and it turned out you're like part Nigerian. Got a little bit of Nigeria in there.
Did quite a lot of Nigerian, yeah. So it basically came back. We're going on a diversion already, so hold on tight. I used the Ancestry website, which was really helpful. Came back loads of Caribbean, but then it said, it's really clever, hundreds of years before my family would have been in the Caribbean. my heritage is actually Nigerian, which I didn't realise, which was just amazing to find out. So
that is
and
very
also
interesting.
not a jot of English, despite being a very broad Londoner. No English in me whatsoever. Which
Really?
I found so interesting. Very,
Oh,
very Irish. So
that is very fascinating.
you never know.
So
You
we're
never know.
basically practically both Nigerian.
What can we say? What can we say? The queens that we are. So
Oh,
I'm actually in the opposite part of the country to you.
you are.
I'm in Preston,
That is
voted
quite north.
very northwest, voted one of the rainiest places in the UK.
Do you think that stats is right?
The amount of hair products I have, yes, I would say. I would say yes, that is true.
Hmm.
Wonderful place, absolutely, really like it.
Hmm.
You're close to the Lake District. You're not far from the Peak District. You've got Manchester shopping, Liverpool shopping. That makes it sound like basically it's only good because you can go to other places. It's got fairly good shopping here, but you know what?
Yeah.
It's up and coming. And so if you're in property, I'm a big advocate for investing in Preston. Massive
Yeah.
university, which has been completely overhauled and done up.
Hmm.
A big
Hmm.
focus on tourism, culture.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
place to be.
No,
Place to be.
nice. Nice. How about yourself? If you could be anywhere in the world, where would you be? That's
Oh,
not Preston.
the first thing that came to mind, I was thinking about this earlier, is probably laying on a beach in St. Lucia.
Why not?
Do you know what I mean? Like, and you know, also, my friend told me he and his wife have just come back from a bit of like a cruise,
Oh, okay.
a Virgin Atlantic cruise, but it's like
Oh,
a
I see.
cruise for younger people.
Oh, because you usually associate cruise with like the older gen.
Exactly, but everyone
Yeah.
on there from the photos and what he was saying was like between the ages of 20 and 40. And
Oh.
so it was just had a completely different vibe to it. So I'd quite like to cruise a little bit, but in a modern
Hmm.
way.
Yes, I would definitely be open. Maybe we can do a podcast while cruising.
Well, do you know what? You might be our first international host because a little birdie tells me you're going to the motherland soon.
I am returning in February.
Yay!
It's been since 2019 I haven't been, but we did have a whole pandemic in between that. So it's time to go back, see family and just chill, because
Oh,
it's not everyday work.
oh, love that. Go be recharged, get some sun on your bones, and then come back. Uh,
100% come back to rainy England in February. And that's usually like the coldest time as well in
Oh yeah,
February.
yeah. February's very cold. But maybe we
Hmm.
could have an episode where you sort of tune in live from Lagos.
I will definitely carry my kit with me. My
Hey,
podcasting gear, I will take it with
committed,
me.
committed to the cause. I love it. So
100%.
I want to dig back a little bit into your career history.
Yeah.
Can you tell me where it all began? First jobs, 15, 16. Take me on the journey. Tell me where you're at now and tell me where are you going?
So, my history. So, background, education wise, I did college. So,
Hmm.
at college, I ended up doing business studies, maths, and IT.
Hmm.
I did try and do computing because I wanted to be like a computer software programmer, software engineer, like my dad was.
Hmm.
But turns out I wasn't very good at it. It's harder than it looks. I
Yep.
had to drop it in my first year of college. So I was a bit of a crossroads when I finished college. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
Um, I enjoyed maths, so the teacher was like, "What do you enjoy?" I was like, "Maths." Loved
Hmm.
it. Um, then they was like, "Just do accounting." I was like, "Oh, let me do accounting. Why not?" People
Mm.
they're well paid there. So, and I do love numbers, Excel, spreadsheets, budgeting, all that sort of stuff. Not to bore the listeners, debits and credits.
Oh,
So,
we need people like you. We need people in the world that are interested in that stuff. You help us.
100%. So yeah, so that's what I did. I went to uni of Winchester to
Hmm.
do that. Then worked a little bit, then decided to go back to uni. and do my master's in finance, and did that at the Portsmouth University.
Nice.
So then how I kind of got interested in property was I was following Patricia Bright on YouTube, and she happened
Hey,
to do
we know her. I
she
think she's from the Croydon area. Whoop whoop, shout out
yes,
Croydon.
fellow
Mm,
Nigerian.
mm-hmm.
She did an episode with the Samuel Leeds, so
Yep.
it was from then I started binging his content since 2019.
Yep.
I was just trying to learn as much as possible, absorb as much as possible. Then fast forward now, I'm sort of just making the leap, making the jump, trying to make the jump anyway into deal sourcing. So I'm just
Mm.
trying to get compliant at the moment. So in order to be compliant, you need to have anti-money laundering, professional indemnity insurance,
Yep.
ICO, which is to do with data protection,
Mm-hmm.
and the last one is the redress scheme. So a property ombudsman. I can never say that word.
Ombudsman. Just attack it
That
hard,
one.
Kafilat. Ombudsman. Just get it out.
So I need to do that. So a lot of people don't talk about what you need for the anti-money laundering, which is where I'm at the moment, trying to figure that out in
Well,
terms of like,
can I just ask you to wheel up a second?
to what?
Can I just ask you to sort of pause
Sure.
and just rewind a second and tell us what deal sourcing actually is, and then tell us about being compliant in it? Because I think this could be really, really helpful.
Okay, deal sourcing is essentially how I see it is you're basically an estate agent or a property agent, but for the investor. So your traditional estate agent, they represent the sellers of the property,
Mm-hmm.
whereas as an deal sourcer, you represent the investors. So we talk to investors, find out their requirements, then go out, source the property, put property and investor together, and just collect a little bit of change in the middle.
Love
So
that. Love
yeah,
it. But so why couldn't they just use an estate agent, these sorts of people?
so essentially the estate agents don't really cater to investors' needs. So they literally just put a property on like Rightmove, and they represent the seller. So they want the seller's best interest. Whereas we on the other side, we look for the best returns possible for the investor. So for as an
Mm,
investor, you want to have the best returns, whereas the seller, they're just looking to try and get the highest price for their property so they can get it sold.
okay,
So
nice.
yeah, essentially we're an agent for investors.
Love that. And so you were saying there are a few things you need to do to be compliant. Property
Yes.
redress scheme, that's if someone
Yes.
wants to make a complaint against you. The
Mm-hmm.
PRS will get involved and help you work through
Yes.
that.
Yep.
You need your insurance, different types of insurance, public
Mm-hmm.
indemnity, I'm guessing.
Yes. And professional indemnity,
Yeah.
and potentially public liability as well.
Oh, that's it. Yeah. Brilliant. And money laundering, is it a
Yes.
certification or is it a policy or something?
So with the anti-money laundering, what I didn't realize, which I
Mm.
don't think is probably talked about enough,
Hmm.
is that you need like I guess two bits of documents. So you need to have a document that states the risk assessment, so policies and procedures of how you sort of go about and detecting money laundering.
Hmm.
Then you need to have the other one, which is spotting the money laundering as well. So there's those two bits of documents that is like essential in order to um become be part of the anti-money laundering. And what I didn't realize only up until recently is that you need to be compliant even as a co-deal sourcer. So a lot of
Right.
people would say out there that you don't need to be compliant. You do, because even though
Mm.
you're passing the deal onto someone that's compliant, you're still involved
Yeah.
in the whole transaction because you're still looking to get paid.
Hmm.
So yeah, so it's best if you are looking to go down the deal sourcing route is to be compliant, just to be safe, because they are HMRC. They like to dish hefty fines if they find you're not compliant. So just be compliant, everyone. Just be
Very good.
compliant.
Very good advice. Compliance is key. Just do it, get it out of the way, then it's done. Take your time, work through it. So basically, I want to know, before you were this finance amazing mathematician queen that you are, did you do any other crazy jobs? Anything exciting? Were you part of a circus? Were you a skiing instructor?
So I would say I had a very vanilla life. So nothing really exciting. I think
Until
I've
now.
only until now we're making that jump into the property world. So
Yeah.
yes, so I guess things are going to start getting more interesting. Um, past when I was in college, university, I worked at Curry's PC World. Um, as a sales assistant, I worked in the kitchen department. Not sexist at all. A woman working in washing machines, fridge freezers, selling cookers,
Listen, it's a
vacuum
noble
cleaners.
job. It's a noble job. I was in there about 2 weeks ago and I thought to myself, it's so peaceful in here. I love
It
Curry.
really is.
I could work here, you know. Does it
You
ever
know
get
what?
mad busy?
Yeah, it's actually quite chilled. It did get mad busy when during like Black Friday.
Yeah.
When Black Friday started to come to the UK, then it got a bit hectic. You had people fighting over TVs, that kind of thing. So it used to get hectic, but I think now it's a bit more chilled. And I feel like it's more of the older generations tend to go to Currys because they like to physically see products and
Yeah.
touch products before buying it. But I worked there on and off while uni and all that sort of stuff for about 8 years or so. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah,
How
and
did
I
it
was
help you? Did it help you develop at all?
100%. I think before I was quite like a shy person, didn't really know how to talk, that kind of thing. But when you're dealing with customers and they're telling you their life story and you're having to make conversations with people, so I think that really brought me out of my shell. And I find it now easy to like hold conversations, talk to people. So I think that was definitely character building for sure.
And who was your manager, or who's your favourite one that you remembered?
The one that probably saw me went from when I was 17 till now, because I still pop in there every now and again. There's always something to buy. There's always a gadget to buy. So I do pop in there every now and again. So his name was Tony. So still
Yes.
there. Lovely guy. And yeah, he literally watched me grow up. So from
Oh,
17 till now. So it's been just over a decade. So
shout out
yeah.
to Tony Tone. Thank you. He helped build you up.
100%, 100%, 100%. But yeah,
Oh,
so that's essentially me in a nutshell. Where do I see myself in 12 years? Not 12 years, 12 months.
yes.
Definitely financially free.
Mm-hmm.
In deal sourcing, maybe dabble in rent to service accommodation, but we'll come back to the definition of that because Rebecca is now in that. She
Woohoo!
does that. So, but yes, probably dabble into that and just keep building cash flow. Cash flow is king. That
Mm.
ties back into my accounting. Cash flow is king.
What do you want to do with that cash though, Kafilat?
I think it's probably building like work, generational wealth. So start buying my own stuff
Yeah,
rather than controlling stuff. Start buying
yeah,
slowly. So that's
love
the
it.
goal. And I want to use this podcast as accountability. I want to look back in a year's time and be like, wow, okay, look how far I've come. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that vision. It's a big vision. Really good.
Yes. Got to dream big. Got to dream big.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about yourself? What is your background, your history?
So I went to the University of Central Lancashire. But actually,
Nice.
let me start a bit earlier than that. I grew up in South London, Croydon, whoop whoop.
Woo.
And I think I've always been quite entrepreneurial.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I've always like tried to do things like, I remember selling all my mum's old clothes on eBay and making £200 one Christmas when I was 16, and that was big money for me then. That was, listen, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't mind £200 right now, to be honest. um, and I remember my friend saying he wanted to start a t-shirt business, and I remember helping come up with the logos and the designs for the t-shirts and things like that. And then he sold them at an event, and I've always just done little bits on the side.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked in Office, the shoe shop. I've worked
Mm-hmm.
in Chiquitos, the Mexican restaurant. Was there a Chiquitos
Yes,
you
yes,
grew up?
yes.
wasn't the best place to work. Great music, listening to like salsa music all day, serving delicious. Just mental environment, crazy. Yeah, a horrendous thing happened. Like just, I don't know, the staff were a bit all over the place. I remember one waiter delivering some drinks and just pouring this whole tray of about 5 drinks onto this poor little 3-year-old girl, and she just screamed the place down, and they were just so cross with us. I remember thinking, this is, what do I do? And they said, oh, we'll give you a promotion and we'll double your salary. And then I challenged them and I said, well, where is this salary? I've been doing this new job for a few weeks. And they were like, oh, we don't think you're ready. Just like being extorted, just like £3.68 an hour, 16 years old. I just didn't know. I was just getting into the world of work and didn't realise, that's not okay. So anyway, lots of little jobs like that. And then I just started to think, I like property. I want to be a landlord.
Okay. Where did that interest spark from?
Probably my mum. My mum had a second property. And then my uncle was into property.
Nice.
And I just started, my mum said to me, the reason we can do nice things is because we have a second property that is helping bring money in. She was a single parent. And I remember just feeling so grateful that she had that second investment. And I just started to think, how can I get into property? And so it really sort of launched when I was probably about 17. And everyone got told, look, you need to do 2 weeks of work experience, pick somewhere, basically.
Yeah.
I think I don't want to work in a shop or a restaurant. I've done that already. And I went up to sort of like one of the principals at our school. And I just said, have you got any contacts with anyone in property? And he was like, yeah, I do actually. And I can't believe I actually went up to him, because he was a bit of like quite a serious figure. You never really approached him. He just approached you. But I think I've always been a little bit ballsy like that and quite big on taking opportunities.
Yeah.
And anyway, he gave me the contact details of one of the senior property developers that helped to build the Olympic Stadium, which was huge at the time. It wasn't it was sort of around 2012. So that was kind of like a bit of a hot topic, the new stadium in Stratford. And just a lot of work went into that design, obviously. So I felt quite honoured to be there. So it's based in central London, and they were had loads of developments in London. And I did a whole presentation to them about what I'd learned and my suggestions from like a teenager's point of view. And it just went down a storm. I brought some Millie's cookies to the meeting. I had like 20 people crammed into this meeting room that was like for 10 people, and they were like, this is great. They were like chomping up the biscuits, listening to my every word. And I just thought, you know what, I like these people, I like this environment, I like thinking about buildings and property, and just that kind of thing, really. Anyway, I did a few more property sort of bits of experience throughout the years, and when I was in Preston, I worked for this guy, and he actually had 100 houses. Wow. And he sort of like, I was just doing a bit of admin for him, learning about how to manage them, that kind of thing. Turned out he was actually a bit of a psychopath.
In what way?
He just did some very like odd, dodgy things, and I just thought, this isn't for me anymore. But I learned about how to manage properties. So it was very, very, very helpful. So it's always been in the back of my mind. And then fast forward to 2018.
Yes.
I'd been living in Preston probably for about 5 years at that point. And houses weren't particularly expensive. I think, which obviously it all depends on what your budget is, but compared to London, completely different ballgame. Yes. Way more affordable to purchase a property in your 20s in the north than in the south, I would say.
Yes, 100%.
So I was able to buy a property, a little 3-bed, and quite quickly, just randomly out of the blue, I thought to myself, I've stayed in loads of Airbnbs. I wonder if one of these bedrooms that I have could be an Airbnb. So I put it online, and a few days later, I got my first booking.
Nice.
Put it on for £22 a night. Yeah. And it was a lovely Kenyan nurse. And she was lovely. And I remember thinking, oh my goodness, this is a real person. in my house and I'm getting money. This is like crazy, it's surreal. I was very young, early 20s, and yeah, just fell in love with it really, and then carried on going, became a super host. And so now I met my husband and we ran the place together, and so now we've hosted maybe 140 people.
Wow.
Had lots and lots of positive reviews, and yeah, then got introduced to the world of serviced accommodation.
Nice.
And the rent to serviced accommodation model,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure we'll chat more about. But
Yes.
essentially, it's where we rent a property, our company rents a property from a landlord.
Yeah.
And we manage it and we keep it immaculate, we do it up, and then we have people rent it from us on a nightly basis.
Mm-hmm.
So that is Rebecca's journey on a bit of a snapshot, really.
Mm-hmm. 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 Lovely. That is amazing. So where do you want this to go in over the next 12 months?
Oh, that's a really good question. So we've set ourselves the target. I'm not sure if that was a wise thing to do, because someone said targets can either put loads of pressure on you or they can really hold you back.
Yes.
But we've said we'd like to have 10 by Christmas Day next year.
Okay.
So
It's doable.
yeah, so we've got about 14 months, 13 and a half months
Yeah.
to make it work.
Okay. And what areas that you look at for service accommodation?
Northwest, Preston,
Mm-hmm.
Manchester, Liverpool, Ormskirk, St Helens, Wigan. But
No.
having experience now of having to drive to an SA, the
Yeah.
closer we can get it to Preston, the better.
Nice.
Because the fuel costs are just insane.
It is. Petrol is expensive. And
Yeah,
where's your first one?
that is in St Helens Town Centre, which is in
Okay.
Warrington. So it's like a 40-minute drive from Liverpool, 40-minute drive from Manchester, sort of in the middle. If you imagine St Helens as the top of the triangle, and then Liverpool and Manchester, the bottom two corners.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's us really.
Lovely.
Kafilat, I feel like we should share with people where we met.
Believe it or not, we actually haven't met in person. At the point of recording this podcast, we actually have never met in person, but I felt like our energies connected. So how we met was I joined this accountability group called the Star Collective, which is hosted by Athena Dobson and Sophie Foot, and they host the Girls in Property podcast. Give them a listen. So they have an accountability group which I joined, and I joined it in September, and I was just sort of like in the background, just listening to everybody talk. Then I heard Rebecca speak. I was like, oh, okay, I love her energy. Love her energy. Then I think after the meeting, you reached out to me and said we should have like a one-on-one chat. I was like, if you weren't going to reach out, I was going to reach out, because I was like, I have to get to know this girl because I loved her energy. And yeah, we talked for like, I can't remember, it was maybe like 2 hours or
Yeah.
so. It was just very easy, very,
Yeah.
very easy. So I've always like stayed in contact with you, see how things are going. And yeah, and I just thought I'll bring up the idea of like, what do you think of a podcast? What do you think about hosting a podcast? Because I've always wanted to do one, but I thought like, because we talk so easily and we have great energy together, it's like, let's do a podcast.
Absolutely. Like, I love that big picture thinking, because I just never would have thought that. I was so focused on starting serviced accommodation and speaking to estate agents. So it's really nice creative outlet actually, and it's quite therapeutic. It's like just talking to a friend. So I'm so glad you invited me. Thank you.
No, that's okay. What was your impression of like our first conversation?
I was just like, she's calm, she's stable, she's sensible. I
Yeah.
need that. I need to be around that kind of just that kind of like person. And I remember in the group chat, I think I might have put a query, or someone else put a query, and you just responded in a really like brilliant, efficient, and like well thought out way. And I was like, this is a good lady, I'm going to try and chat to her. And also, I do think it's always great when there are other women of colour, women of, you know, whatever your background is,
Yes.
in the industry that you're in, especially if you're underrepresented.
Yes.
So I was like, this could be fantastic, just to
Yeah.
put heads together and form a kind of friendship, really.
Yes. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that kind of leads on to why we created the podcast, essentially, is to give people, especially people of color, not exclusively, but to hear people of color stories, success stories, because it's not very often we get to hear that. So it'd be nice to have guests on who are also people of color and hear their story and how they also became successful in their
Yeah,
business as well.
that is super exciting. Really looking forward to seeing who we can have on.
Yes.
So I need to ask you, big question.
Okay.
What are you reading? What are you listening to? And how is it impacting you?
So at the moment, I've really been into the Diary of a CEO with
Oh, yep,
Stephen Bartlett.
yep,
I recently listened to the guy that did the Airbnb,
yep.
created
Brian.
Airbnb. Yeah, that was very inspiring. I'm
Mm-hmm,
currently listening to a guy on still on the same podcast, but his name is Morgan Housel,
mm-hmm.
and I think he wrote the book of Money Psychology. So after hearing him speak on there, I definitely want to give that book a read. When I say read, I'm more of a listener, so try and find an audio version of the book. So give that a listen. And I think I think maybe 2024 is the year that I'll probably try and consume more books and try and gain more knowledge, more insight to learn about myself and how I can elevate my business as well as myself. So I want to try and
Mm-hmm.
read more books. So if anyone has any recommendations out there, that would be greatly appreciated. But I do listen to a lot of podcasts. I do love listening to podcasts. So um mainly property ones. I like listening to people's stories as well.
Yes.
So I listen to
Yeah.
like Rent to Rent Success, The
Yeah.
Property Strategist, who has The Diary of a CEO.
Yeah.
So podcasts like that. I just love listening to podcasts. When I'm at work in the office, earbuds are in all day just listening to podcasts. People probably would think I'm like antisocial, but I'm just trying to learn and absorb as much as I can.
Good for you. Good for you. I think that's
Yeah.
fantastic. And are you one of those people, you know, people go, I've read 4 books this week, and it's only like Wednesday morning. Do you have a target of how many you want to listen
You
to?
know what? I'm not going to put pressure on myself and put a target on it. I just want to, for me, it's about self development and just trying to learn as much as possible through books, through podcasts.
Love
How about
that.
yourself?
What am I listening to? So a few things. Girls in Property podcast by
Listen to them.
Athena. Yeah, Athena and
Yes.
Sophie, but now just Athena actually. I listen
Yes.
to that religiously.
Me too. I haven't missed an episode.
When I see the little blue notification on Spotify, that means new
Yeah.
episode. I'm like, whoop, 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 it's going to be a good morning. I just find it so, yeah, I find it really good to listen to. It's so encouraging. I
Yeah.
think Athena, she just can't help but add value to your journey, and she just oozes advice and support. And that has probably been like a bit of an IV drip in my arm, keeping me going over the last 5 months of where I've been faced with so much rejection along this journey. So massive shout out to Girls in Property Pod.
Yes, yeah,
Really, really
I
good.
agree. It's how we met,
Oh,
so big shout
yeah,
out.
yeah, definitely. Also listening to Diary of a CEO. I tend to watch it a lot on YouTube. I'm
Hmm.
quite interested in body language,
Yes, yeah.
so I like to watch things. Probably more than I like to listen, but I like to do a bit of a mixture.
Okay.
I usually have about 5 books on the go. It takes me so long to finish a book, and that's not because I don't like reading, it's because I'm reading so many different things
Oh, okay, okay.
on rotation. So
Does that
next
not
to my
get confusing?
no, because they're all different genres.
Oh, okay, okay,
So
okay.
some are I'm a Christian, and so
Yes.
some are like spiritual, faithy kind of books, growing spiritually as a person. Some are rom-coms, some are whatever. And so, yeah, it might be like a little poetry book my friend bought me. And so, yeah, I just like to flip between and sort of grow different parts of me.
Yeah.
And I just love a good like romantic comedy book
I love
where
a rom-com.
the protagonist is just this like female where everything's going wrong, but she's really endearing, and then she ends up with a nice life. I love that kind of book.
Yeah, the happily
Um,
ever after.
yeah, I'm listening to the Orchard podcast, which is a Christian women's sort of conference, but they've got their own podcast, which is really
Okay.
sort of encouraging and uplifting.
Mm-hmm.
And then also, I watch quite a lot of Dr. Ramani.
Does that name ring
It
a bell?
should ring a bell, Kafilat, because she is the leading expert in narcissism.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Does she have like a YouTube or is it a podcast?
she's got everything. She has everything. So, Dr. Ramani, check her out if you're interested in psychology, personality disorders, recovering from narcissistic abuse and interacting with people that sort of drain your energy vampires. She's absolutely
Oh.
fantastic. I always feel really sort of strong and sort of like emboldened after I've listened to some of her content. So
Oh, I see.
she's top notch. But yeah, all of the different property podcasts you've listed,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I've come across. It's nice to just grow your mind, and I think what's really comforting is hearing other people on a similar journey or a similar
Yes.
trajectory.
Yeah.
We're all trying to work this out. It's all a bit
Mm-hmm.
of trial and error.
Yes.
But I'm just really privileged, really, to be part of this group of people that have decided to make a change for their life.
Yes. No, that
And
is, I think surrounding yourself with the right people is 100% the key to success, I would
yeah,
say. Having the
yeah,
right people, like-minded people around you is so important in order to succeed. Because if you have someone telling you no, when you know in your heart it's a yes, that no will slowly eat at you, then you end up giving up. So it's so important surrounding yourself with like positive people.
exactly. I really do agree. And I've never really experienced such a positive community until I joined the property world.
Yeah, I agree. So sometimes I feel like the property world is so big, but when you like look outside the property world, like no one really knows that much about property. People still think like of the traditional like buy to let strategy as the way forward, but
Yeah,
when you're in it, it feels like everyone knows everyone. It really
yeah,
does, and it does feel like everyone wants to help other people as well. It's quite
yeah.
uplifting.
It is so uplifting. I love that. And people help carry you up, and then you turn
Yeah,
around and you help lift other people up.
hundred
Um,
percent, 100%.
it brings me on to
Mm.
what sort of quote have you read recently that's hit you and made you think, do you know what? This is good. This is very good.
So I've been listening to the Diary of a CEO, the Morgan Housel episode, and the
Yeah.
quote that stuck out to me was use money to gain control of your
hmm
time.
hmm
So because you're not having control of time is what causes people to feel sort of unhappy in
hmm
life. So if you had more autonomy over your life, I think that makes you happy.
Yeah.
So choosing to work rather than having to work are
hmm
two different things. So
Yeah.
I feel like having money allows you to have that option of do I want to work today? Okay, I do want to work today. How many hours do I want to work? Rather than being you
mm
have to be there at 8:30 and you have to finish at 5:30. So I
mm
feel like having money gives you autonomy over your life, which makes you more happy. So when they
hmm
say, does money make you happy? I guess, yes, it does in that respect because it gives you more control. So I think
Love
that
that.
really stuck with me when I listened to that.
I feel like the quote that links to that is someone saying, money doesn't make you happy. And then I think I've heard someone say, Yeah, but I'd rather cry in a Bentley.
Yeah.
Which is such a silly quote, and I'm so sorry to dampen what you said. It's not as
Well,
profound
it's
as your
true.
one, but it
It's
just
true.
makes me laugh. Money is very helpful, I would say.
It is. It's definitely a tool to creating the life that you want to live. So
Yeah, absolutely. I recently saw a tweet. So I've got 2 quotes / tweets. One tweet said, I told my mum I didn't want to be a doctor because I wouldn't be qualified until I was 29. And my mum said to me, you're going to be 29 anyway. Why not be a doctor at 29?
Oh, that's quite cool. I like that.
And you could pick that apart and you could say, well, what if she doesn't want to be a doctor? But what I took from that is time is ticking.
Yes.
Why not give something a go? Why not give yourself that extra boost or pursue something fantastic whilst time is ticking? Because it's going to go and it's going to come. So why not try?
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that's what we're doing. My husband Dave and I really taking this sort of bold move to start our own business. Very different to anything we've done or people close to us have done. And give it a go. And then the other one I liked, and I think it's quite a common one that pops up on Instagram, is she believed and so she did.
Ah.
And that's usually the kind of thing that I'd scroll past and roll my eyes out. But actually, I really believed in this business and I've actually started to do it.
You're doing it.
Yeah, I'm actually doing it, and I can't.
You are actually doing it.
She believed, but I actually can't believe that I'm doing it. So yeah, I think again, it's just about like trying. Honestly, it is one foot in front of the other. Athena always says from Girls in Property, do your 1% each day.
Yes,
and that
you'll
makes
eventually get to 100.
Exactly. That makes it so much more manageable. If you just believe in the little 1% you're doing, you can keep going, even on those really, really hard days. So
that's where your network is very important, who you surround yourself with to push you on those down days.
Exactly, 100%. And I'm sure we could chat more about that as well, how to build that network. And sometimes it can be really hard. You're not sure which voices to listen to because the people closest to you, like your lovely family and friends, they might not get the property world.
Exactly.
And so they might be staunchly against it. They might just be quite lukewarm and disinterested, or they might be super passionate about it. But you just need to be mindful about who you're absorbing information from.
Yeah, I totally agree. That is very important. Very, very important.
So I think we are coming into land.
I think so. I can't believe that. One episode done.
I've loved getting to know you better and
me too.
Finding out where you've come from. Yeah, I'm really keen for people to stick on this journey with us. One, just to come and have a cup of tea and let us follow you around your house while you are doing the dishes or, folding up laundry. And 2, just to let you know you're not alone. And if you make that jump, there are people there alongside you, jumping with you.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Just surround yourself with positive people, get yourself into a community, and just follow your dreams, people. Follow your dreams.
Yeah, so thank you so much for listening, guys, and we can't wait to chat to you again very, very soon. And hopefully do some social media bits and just connect with you.
Yes, so more episodes to come.
Yes, so we will see you soon, guys.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.